You're tuning in to Luminal on the Wall. Welcome. I'm your host, Becky, and joining me always is my co-host and beautiful sister, Bevy.
In our podcast, we will take a deep dive into the evil side of humanity. We will talk about suspicious deaths, shoddy investigations, and all the gory details in between.
But be warned, we will not hesitate to call BS when we hear it, which means you may not always agree with us, but we promise to lay out the evidence so you can come to your own conclusions based on what is presented.
Listeners' discretion is advised. Hey, Beth.
Hey, Bev.
What's good?
Well, lots of things.
Yeah?
Yes. Went to Drumheller for the day.
Sweet.
It was so hot out. Love the Badlands. One of the best parts of Alberta, except the Frank Slide.
Except the what?
The Frank Slide.
Why don't I know that? You said it's the best thing about Alberta. I'm born and raised here. How do I not know about it then?
I cannot believe you don't know about the Frank Slide.
Wait, is it the one where you just slide and you move your hands?
No, it's not a move.
Oh, fuck.
It's like
A place?
a historical land site.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not the greatest thing about Alberta, Becky.
Oh my God, no. I have known about this since at least grade 3. Because in our grade 3 class, we had to we sang a song about the Frank Slide.
No way. They probably stopped doing this after...
It was actually
After
a
2
pretty
years.
dark sounding song. Hundreds of people died beneath
What?
that crushing slide.
Jesus, that sounds awful.
And
You
I
sang
loved
that
it.
in grade...
Maybe
You
grade
sang that in
4.
Yeah, they definitely took that out of the school system by the time I was in grade 3 or 4. I don't remember that at all. That is ridiculous.
Bev, it was literally, I think, Turtle Mountain. It had a rock slide, and there was a town, the town of Frank, right at the base of this mountain, and it had a rock slide and killed the whole town.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so if you drive down to the Crow's Nest Pass, oh my God. Okay, me and Jamie lost all of our photos from the last 8 years.
So sad.
Devastating. And they were my very first time to the Frank Slide on there. But
Your favorite place when you arrived, were you like,
oh my God, like
oh,
you
the
don't
Frank Slide. You're people that you're just chanting as you're driving by.
Oh no, you stop and you get out and like climb on the rocks.
Oh my gosh, I guess because it's like, oh my gosh, people are below those, Becky.
Yeah.
Dead people are below those rocks.
Yes. That's the whole craziness of it.
That is so creepy.
It destroyed the whole little town.
Wow.
Okay, this is perfect though because we lost all our photos. Now we can go and make almost like brand new memories. So now I have a great reason to take you to see the Frank Slide.
It seems pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Well, Bev, I'm excited to hear what you have for me today. Why don't you get into it?
Okay, so the sources for this case include chillingcrimes.com, kentlive.news, kentonline.co.uk, mirror.co.uk, independent.co.uk, protectionagainststalking.org, and the documentary series Killed by My Stalker, Season 1, Episode 3. This is the Clare Bernal case. Clare Bernal was a young woman growing up in Groombridge in her family home with her 2 brothers. Her parents, however, had separated in her younger years. She attended St. Gregory Catholic Comprehensive School in Tunbridge Wells. Claire's family said she always kind of tinkered with makeup, and from a very young age, they realized she was very gifted at it. She herself had always been dolled up, and her mom said she really didn't realize how beautiful she truly was. Nice mom.
Yeah.
Because of her passion for makeup, Claire attended the beauty consultancy and theater makeup course at West Kent College. Once she completed college, she had gotten what she deemed her dream job, a skincare expert at the La Prairie beauty counter at the high-end skincare brand Harvey Nichols. Claire had wanted to work there so badly. and she knew she would be the perfect fit. So she had written to the company explaining how much she adored their brand, and this move got her an interview that resulted in a job.
Ooh, very bold. I like it.
Right?
Yes.
That's what I thought. In November of 2004, the time had come for this young woman to spread her wings and prove her independence in this adult world. She packed her belongings and moved to Dulwich Village in London, where she had rented a place with 2 roommates, both of whom also worked at Harvey Nichols.
Ooh.
I find that surprising. Did she go online and be like, who else works at Harvey Nichols?
Start
or
a
did
group
she
chat.
meet them there? You know, you're like, oh, interesting.
That's good. I have no idea.
Probably met them at Harvey Nichols, I would only assume.
Probably.
Because what are the odds? You find 2 girls that just so happen to also work at Harvey Nichols randomly, right?
Yeah.
So she was excited to be living in the big city and get around the buzz of city life.
Right on.
On all accounts, things had been going really well for Claire. She even met a good-looking guy at work.
Ooh la la.
His name was Michael. Before moving to the UK 2 years prior, Michael had been a soldier in the Slovakian army and had worked as a security guard at the American embassy. But since arriving in the UK in 2004, he worked as a security guard for Harvey Nichols. And of course, this is where he met Claire.
Right.
So when Michael met Claire, he fell really hard for her. And in January of 2005, Michael finally got up the nerve to ask her out. She was actually flattered by this and thought it would be fun, so she agreed to go on some dates. Michael was completely head over heels for Claire, but Claire's family wasn't too sure about him. He was much older and going through a divorce. They also just didn't get the impression that Claire was necessarily in love, so naturally they're skeptical of this weirdo.
A little foreshadowing.
After the first date, Michael started to show his true colors. He became a bit possessive and controlling. He made it clear to Claire that he wanted her to spend all her time with him and only him.
What?
Yikes.
After the first date, that is insane.
Isn't it, though?
Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine? I'd tell the man, like, get stuffed, buddy.
Yes. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Oh, heck no.
Not today.
So not only did he want Claire to spend all of his time with her, he actually didn't even want her to spend time with her friends and family.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a huge red flag. Obviously, for many abusive relationships, isolation is a key component to it. So I kind of get those vibes from this right now, which is, to say the least, concerning. So naturally, this made Claire uncomfortable and suffocated. The 2 had only gone out for 3 weeks and a total of 3 dates.
He's too much.
He's way too much. So after this, Claire mentioned that she was kind of worried about breaking it off with Michael because of his possessive and controlling behaviors.
I could see how that'd be a bit of a deterrent, but also like...
Come on. Like I said, tell him to get fucking stuffed, right?
Yeah.
So Michael's controlling and possessive behaviors weren't even the only red flags that were present in this ever so brief relationship, Rebecca.
What?
Yeah, if you can even call it a relationship. So one of the many red flags that Claire noticed that really stood out to her was that he had told Claire that he loved her.
What? No, he did not.
Yes, he did.
After
3
what? 3 dates?
weeks and 3 dates.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, that's a problem on her
Yeah.
hand.
So it is shocking. And of course, Claire was shocked at his confession as well, because she truly thought of her relationship with Michael as casual. She just thought she was casually dating a
Getting
guy
to
from
know
work,
someone a little bit at a time, but here he's like
way ahead of her.
all in. I love you. I know what the rest of our life's gonna look like. Just too much.
Way too much.
Ay, ay, ay.
So soon after this casual relationship began, Michael decided to go home to Slovakia to see his family, which actually surprised me because with how possessive and controlling he is, I didn't think he would even want to be like away from her for 1 minute. But he did. He went home.
He did it.
Yeah. So when he returned to the UK, he insisted / demanded that Claire be at the airport to pick him up at 5 a.m.
Oh, grody. 5 a.m.
Grody. Claire really didn't want to pick him up at the airport, but because she's kind of a people pleaser, she did reluctantly meet him upon his arrival.
Oh, Claire.
Oh, Claire.
You know, I understand that, though, because you never want to seem like a complete dick. Be like, no, I'm not going to pick you up, you know?
Yeah.
Right?
And it's always weird when a guy is like over involved with you as a person beforehand. It kind of makes you feel like you're closer than you are in a way. Even though you know logically maybe not, it kind of gives you that like perception. So you feel almost obligated in a sense. And when they're so persistent, it just...
You're kind of like, fine, I'll do it.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. You know what? That's easier. I'll pick you up.
It's not the end of the world that I have to get up at like 4 a.m. to come meet you at the airport. I'll do it. So after meeting Michael at the airport, he told Claire that he wanted to stay at her place because he had a very large suitcase and he couldn't trek it all the way across London. I say sarcastically.
Of course. Because, like, come on.
Yeah.
What are you going to do tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly. You're going to have
also
to
not truck it.
Yeah.
Like, it's only 5 a.m. You got all day to do this.
It's a stupid ass excuse.
Yeah, what a butthead.
So she was unsure about this because they had only been seeing each other again for a few weeks. But of course, he insisted that he had to stay at her house. So the next morning, he dug his heels in and was actually refusing to leave. Obviously, Claire was pissed. She even walked him to the train station.
Holy.
But
she's doing like everything in her power to be like, get out
the
of my house.
out of here.
Yeah.
Like, can I hold your hand to the fucking
You
exit,
big baby.
please? So, yeah, he wouldn't even get on the train.
Oh my. No.
Yeah, he wouldn't even get on. So it got to the point where Claire just said, do what you want, but I'm going home.
Right. She'd had enough, obviously.
Yeah, it was actually this moment exactly that Claire realized she was done with Michael, and she broke things off with him.
Smart woman.
Yes.
Good call.
However,
Oh dear.
This infuriated Michael. He called Claire over 20 times.
That is so many.
Ridiculous.
Ooh.
It's just such a like invasion of someone's boundaries, right?
Absolutely.
Like, why are you're trying to get your way by intimidating her or making her feel guilty by calling her incessantly. Like, it's at this point, like, I would say that's an obsession. Like, even in my worst fight with Craig, I don't think I've called him 20 times in a row. That's ludicrous. But Claire ignored every single call.
Good woman.
Yeah, I know. I was like, you're strong. But he even went as far as sitting outside of her flat. Claire and her roommates advised him to leave. And finally, after 2 hours, Becky, he finally left.
Oh my God, that would be so stressful.
Yeah.
Like you're just sitting in your place waiting for him to leave.
Yes.
Because it's like, that is so scary.
It is so scary. It is so scary. And so, of course, like with her 2 roommates and her all working together to get this man leave their home, you can, like you said, imagine just how awkward, how stressful this whole situation is.
Yeah, like talk about intimidating.
Mm-hmm. Coming to her house, ooh. I'd be like, I want to move, please.
Yeah, I would.
So Michael's obsession with Claire continued in their place of work. He had all eyes on her from the moment she arrived. He would track her whereabouts through the store using the reflection of the mirrors. He made sure that he knew where she was at all times.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so one day, Michael approached her at the counter and pleaded with her to take him back.
Please, please, I love you.
Yeah. And of course, like, Claire tries to ignore this, but he wouldn't leave. And at other times, he would ask other people to talk to her for him. Some of the people that talked to her on his behalf would say things like, oh, he just wants to be your friend, which I think is a little, of course, well-intended, but they're playing into his sick and twisted game at the same time.
They probably are completely unaware.
Exactly.
At, like, how intense he's being.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they probably think it's like, no, like, why is she being so mean and just ignoring me? But it's like, because you're crazy. You're following her home. You're sitting outside her house for 2 hours, scaring the shit out of her.
You're really forcing yourself on her.
Yeah, they probably have no idea just how incessant he is.
Yeah. So at one point, she does end up talking to him, but she tells him, like, this needs to stop. Unfortunately, her advocating for herself to him just made things so much worse. So in February 2005, literally like a month after he asked her out, Claire had just finished up with work for the day and left. Michael followed her. He snuck up behind her, grabbed her shoulder, and told Claire that he loved her and that he knew that she loved him as well. Claire, like a rational, sane woman, tells him that she doesn't love him, and he replies with, yes, you do, you stupid little girl.
Oh my, that's a nasty interaction.
Yeah, why are you calling her a stupid little girl if you love her? Anyways.
Yeah, there's many reasons why this is just all wrong.
Yeah, so obviously Michael's intensity is revving up, and it's scaring Claire at this point. It was also bringing a lot of unwanted attention to her, and she wondered if she should report Michael to the police, but he hadn't really physically hurt her, so she felt a little ridiculous reporting the harassment to the police and wasting their time.
You know, that's actually a sad thing about a lot of stalking. Like, when you hear about it, people are just, oh, he didn't do anything. And sometimes the police even say that, like, they haven't done anything to you, so people are a little reluctant to report it. But it's actually just, it's terrible to do to someone because they are living in fear of you and the unknown of how far you're willing to go.
Is just looming over their head, right?
Yeah.
So
scary.
Yeah. And after this incident, Claire was terrified. She was always watching over her shoulder, afraid that Michael was going to show up on her doorstep, like that looming presence that you're talking about. Her fears were completely warranted as he was following her everywhere she went. He even was following her home on the train. He would sit outside her house, harassing and menacing Claire and her roommates. This stress was palpably affecting Claire. She wasn't sleeping well, and she was getting eye infections. She was also getting in trouble at work for being late and just couldn't focus on her job.
Right. Her mind is somewhere else because she's scared. She's worried, right? Oh, poor girl.
I know. I feel for her. So despite the toll this had on Claire, Michael was relentless. He constantly called Claire, leaving voicemails and sending texts as though they were still in a relationship. Some said, please, Claire, I love you. Or, we are meant to be together. It's our anniversary tomorrow. How should we spend it?
Oh my gosh. Be like, not together, you dummy.
It's not our anniversary.
Yeah, like what?
Man, if every month I was together with Craig was my anniversary, frick, I'd get so many presents.
Yeah, and like tasty dinners. You're like, okay, hubby.
Yeah.
We can have an every month anniversary. Sure. It's what they call date night.
Yeah.
But she ain't dating you.
But she ain't dating you. So he was sending approximately like 50 texts a day.
Oy.
What was worrisome was that over time, his messages became increasingly threatening. With some including statements such as, I will kill myself if we can't be together, or, and here's the kicker, if I can't have you, nobody can.
Oh my gosh. Bev, those are the worst statements for stalkers to make.
Those are the worst statements for people to make.
Yes. I was actually watching a documentary, and those are like the two statements where they say that's kind of when things shift in their demeanor and when you really have to start being worried because they're thinking of kind of an end game.
Yes, 100%. When you hear those, the whole story kind of shifts from like you're threatening, you have this threatening presence to your life is now in danger. They are completely obsessed with you and they have it in their head that they will be with you at all costs.
Mm-hmm. And that's when things get really, really dangerous.
100%. So on March 30th, 2005, Claire leaves work. She is heading for the train when she notices Michael once again in the distance following her. She runs onto the train and he chases after her. He gets on the train and sits directly across from her.
Oh my God, she was like his prey.
Yes.
How creepy.
And I think the worst thing about him sitting directly across from her, it's that idea where he is basically telling her, yeah, I'm following you. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, it's like
in your face.
It's so ballsy.
Yeah. So Claire at this point begs him to leave her alone and tells him that she wants nothing to do with him. She tries to run again, but he chases her and pushes her. So now it's not just words. He has now at least pushed her, which, I mean, it's ramping up. So at that moment, Claire tells him that if he doesn't leave her alone, she will have no choice but to report him to the authorities. And that makes me really sad to hear because to me, what I hear in that statement is a helpless person. Someone who does not know what the next steps are. But to call the police, you know?
Yeah, because if you call the police, he's threatening you that he'll do something bad. But if you don't, he's still stalking the shit out of you.
And pushing you and like...
And still doing bad things.
Yeah.
So you, like, between a rock and a hard place.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So it should come as no surprise that Michael hates this. He gets up in her face and threatens her. If you report me, I will kill you.
Oh
yeah.
No.
So...
Yeah, so she's super scared.
Yeah, we talked about those two words or those two statements that were like danger, danger. This one,
in that category.
That shows obviously malicious intent to hurt somebody, and that's wild. So Claire's mom commented that after this incident, as scared as her daughter was and as concerned as they were, they truly thought that it was an empty threat and didn't think Michael would follow through with it. But to you and I, as we're going through this, I mean, this was obviously a very serious and dangerous situation. So it does surprise me a little that they kind of thought of this as an empty threat. Because the best case scenario is that it's an empty threat.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario is that it's not, right?
For sure.
So
maybe a little naive in that, like Claire she was young still, like 21. Like,
yeah,
you take a lot of crap when you're younger because you don't have the confidence. I mean, not everyone, but I think of someone who was really shy.
It doesn't even matter if they're shy. I mean, this type of intimidation affects your...
Yeah.
Like, it's not something that anybody should have to deal with. It's not in the realm of normalcy in the slightest. So there's no handbook that says this is what you should do in these situations, right? So it's just like, what do you do?
Exactly. Poor girl.
So after months of Michael incessantly terrorizing Claire, Claire's roommates and friends had had enough of the situation, so they informed Claire's bosses at Harvey Nichols about what was going on.
Oh, perfect.
Yes. So the head of security decided to put cameras on Claire and Michael. And when the head of security witnessed Michael's inappropriate behavior towards Claire on camera, they moved him to a different department and changed his schedule, which kudos to Harvey Nichols, I have to say.
Heck yeah, some companies might just ignore it and be like, stop talking to him. Or,
yeah,
like kind of put the onus on the people involved and talk to them. Be like, you just can't do that. Here's a warning. But they took it damn seriously.
As
Good
they
for them.
should. I know. I'm like, yay. However, Michael, of course, continued to relentlessly follow Claire.
Of course.
Which left Harvey Nichols with no choice but to suspend him.
Frick yeah. Canned his ass. Well,
that's right.
Suspended his ass.
Whatever. It's still nice, right? You're like, good,
yeah,
you're taking...
They have her back.
They have her back. That must feel nice.
Yeah, like this behavior is inappropriate. Not to be had here.
We will not stand for it.
Exactly.
So, throughout this whole ordeal, Michael just casually asks about the sentence for murder in Britain.
Just like, hey guys, just casually wondering...
If I murder someone, what's that sentence like?
Yeah, like, is it life in prison or, 2 years? What are my consequences? Can I live with them?
Yeah. Terrifying.
Wow.
So when the head of security learned that Michael had said this, asked this, etc., he strongly urged Claire to report it to the police. Taking this recommendation seriously, she went to the police station and disclosed the incidents of Michael's harassment towards her and the multiple threats he made to her life.
Perfect. Good for her.
Yes, so Harvey Nichols calls Michael back into the store only to...
fire him.
Yeah, can his ass, as you said earlier. Yeah, so during Michael's visit with the head of security, the police made an arrest and escorted Michael out of the building.
So not only did he get fired,
he got arrested.
Sucka
foo. So he was taken to the station and charged with a non-molestation order, which in English law is meant to protect victims from being harassed by their ex-partners.
Right.
Michael did receive bail for this, but had conditions in place that prohibited him from approaching Claire. Claire felt an overwhelming sense of guilt because, of course, this is not the outcome that she desired for Michael, right, to be arrested, but she desperately needed this nightmare to come to an end. Like, what else was she supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
So she and her roommates felt that their safety was still at risk, considering he was out on bail, and this prompted them to find a new place to live.
Yes. They moved.
Yes, thank God. But while they were in the process of packing, Claire noticed Michael standing at her door once again with a sinister, creepy smile adorning his face.
Oh my God. This
guy.
Just stop already.
Yeah.
But nope.
So in doing this act and coming to her home, Michael breached his bail conditions. So Claire and her roommates called the police. Unfortunately, when the police arrived, Michael had vanished, leaving no evidence for further action. When the girls finally moved, it had only been 4 days since his arrest and release on bail. To Claire's absolute horror, once in her new home, she spotted Michael in the vicinity again.
Oh, God. That would be just so heartbreaking, Bev.
Yeah, you're doing everything you can to protect yourself and...
Like, I literally moved to get away from you.
Yes.
And 4 days in, here you frickin' are.
Again.
No, just heartbreaking.
Yeah, you have this hope that you're going to be free from this, but nope. So she immediately calls the police, and once again, Michael disappears. However, the determined police officers were committed to locating him at this point. I'm sure they realized, like, the severity of the situation at this point. So Claire got into the police car, and together they drove around, eventually locating him since they were aware he was kind of lingering in the area.
And let's be real, he's following her. He knows where he is. She is almost all the time. They're bound to run into him.
Yeah, exactly,
like,
right?
Where are you, Michael?
Oh, wait. Where's Claire? Oh, there you are.
There you are. Oh.
So the police arrest Michael, and with his creepy smile, he stared directly into Claire's soul before being taken into custody.
It's just rude.
Yes. Claire's family noted that it was at this moment that she truly felt frightened and believed he might follow through with what she had initially considered empty threats. It was evident that he disregarded the potential consequences of his actions and had no regard for Claire's well-being.
definitely had no regard.
Yeah, so on April 19th of that year, Michael was charged with threatening to kill Claire. However, he was released on bail while awaiting trial. Yet again.
Always the bail.
Yeah. And of course, this is like a pattern we've seen time and time again, considering his blatant disregard for the law up until this point.
What makes you think he's all of a sudden going to respect it after?
Exactly.
Not I.
No.
Yeah,
so I'm surprised he was even allowed on bail after he has shown no restraint in following her and stalking her.
Mm-hmm. It is a little surprising, hey?
Yeah. So, interesting turn of events. He actually disappears for weeks this time. And things start to feel normal again.
What?
The
Really?
stress was lifted off Claire's shoulders and she was able to regain a sense of herself.
Was this arrest like his moment where he's like, I should stop?
Well, let me ask your personal opinion, Becky. Do you think so?
Absolutely not.
All right, well, then we'll continue on. And I have a feeling you're correct. So I don't want to get your hopes up, that she's going to live a normal life after this when she has encountered a psycho, in fact. So as things were returning to normal, Claire's mother suggested they go to Italy in the summer to celebrate Claire's birthday.
Ooh.
Her mother mentioned how nice it was to spend time with her daughter and witness how much she had grown in the last couple of months. Claire was truly at her best during this time. However, unbeknownst to Claire, Michael had returned to Slovakia while out on bail. Since nobody had confiscated his passport, he was free to go wherever he pleased. And
Ooh.
I can assure you, he had no good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
Michael underwent weapons training, obtained a firearms license, and registered a handgun with the Slovakian authorities. And eventually, on July 20th of 2005, Michael returned to London with his handgun concealed in his luggage.
What? How does that even happen?
Right? How did a man with his history being out on bail for threatening to kill a woman, how was he able to bypass customs with a weapon?
Yeah, seriously, Bev, I went to the U.S. and they confiscated my oranges.
Your oranges?
My oranges. You can't bring it over the border. Had to throw them out. Get rid of them.
Wow.
I know. And he got over the border with a handgun.
With a handgun.
That's not right.
That ain't right. I know. So Michael's trial was actually scheduled for the end of August of 2005, that year. And Claire and her family dreaded facing him in court.
I bet.
They were encouraged to drop the charges of attempted murder as it would be difficult to prove and the chances of him being found guilty were pretty low. However, in a shocking turn of events, Michael unexpectedly pleaded guilty to the harassment charges as the attempted murder charges were formally dropped. This meant there would be no trial and Michael would receive minimal community service.
That is just crap.
Yeah, it's crap to us, but Claire actually thought this was like a great outcome since Michael wouldn't be mad at her pleasing people nature, and she thought they could just move on with their lives.
Right. Kind of like this is a good compromise for his well-being and my well-being.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay.
Like the blessed angel she is, right?
Yes.
But while awaiting sentencing, Michael was allowed to remain free. Damn, that's like the third time, right?
Yeah.
So a month after Michael pleaded guilty, on September 13th, a day that started like any other normal day, Claire went to Harvey Nichols as usual and began working at the beauty counter. She was scheduled to work until closing, and she and her friends were excited to finish their shift. Her friends signaled to her, indicating they only had 10 minutes left. It said that at this moment, Claire gave the biggest, most beautiful smile to her friend. Unfortunately, these last 10 minutes of work would change everything. Since the incidents with Michael's harassment, the security guards at Harvey Nichols were given specific instructions not to let him enter the premises.
Right, because that would be just freaking wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, Harvey Nichols seems to be stand-up workplace, and of course they would try and protect her even after he had pleaded guilty to the harassment charges.
Yeah, they're like, we got to keep care of our own.
Yeah. Despite all the precautions that they took on this fateful evening, Michael managed to sneak in using a side door because he was familiar with the building, right?
Right.
So
he knew where he could probably get in.
Yes, exactly.
Undetected.
Totally. Claire's coworker and friend noticed him entering the shop floor, and within seconds, she saw a shadow appearing behind Claire. She initially thought it was Claire's boyfriend playfully sneaking up on her, but it was Michael, completely high on cocaine. He immediately raised a gun and shot Claire in the back of her head. Claire fell to the ground, and he continued to fire 3 more shots at her face. He fired another bullet into the ceiling before turning the gun on himself. Claire was pronounced dead at the scene. She was only 22 years old.
Oh my God, Bev.
I know.
Of course he did that. Like, what a dick.
Yeah, to the back of her head. And even the extra shots to her face, that's...
It's like overkill. Like, why?
Yeah, overkill. It just shows a lot of hatred.
Mm-hmm.
He's a nasty person for doing that. Claire's mother, Patricia, had been out that evening celebrating a friend's birthday. She arrived home quite late when she heard a loud bang on the door around midnight. 2 police officers informed her that Claire had been shot, and standing there in her dressing gown, having heard the news of her daughter's murder, she instinctively knew that it was Michael who had done this to her.
Of course. Who else?
The question that arose from this tragedy was why Claire wasn't better protected. Was it due to a lack of training? Were the police overwhelmed with too many cases? The real issue in all of this was really that Michael was allowed to be on bail and essentially roam free. He was considered low risk since he had no previous convictions. However, previous cases have shown that it is the most dangerous time for victims when the aggressor is out on bail. So at the end of the day, the police did what they could, but ultimately, the system failed Claire and her family.
Yeah, it did. I mean, I understand that that's protocol probably. Like, he has no previous convictions, therefore he can be released on bail.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an ongoing thing. It's not like you stole something, you get arrested, you're on bail, and maybe nothing will happen until the trial. But this one, it's an ongoing harassment, right? Like,
there's a first time for every crime. It doesn't matter. I don't think previous convictions should really be taken into consideration when assessing if someone should make bail. That is my personal opinion. I think that the crime that they're being convicted of should be considered.
Yeah, and like the severity of that crime, like he threatened to kill someone.
Yeah.
He's stalking. There's probably a high chance he's going to do something.
Yeah.
Let's maybe keep him in jail.
Yeah, we kind of already know enough about abusers and their tactics, and it seems like he had multiple red flags and was kind of falling in line with the standard typical abuse techniques.
Like profile.
So, yeah, the profile of an abuser. So it just seems a little twisted that none of that mattered, right?
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
So there's like a silver lining in all of this, and it's Claire's mom. In her grief, Patricia joined forces with other family members of victims and established the charity Protection Against Stalking, the PAS, in 2010. The charity swiftly worked to set up a national stalking helpline. They also spearheaded a successful campaign to introduce 2 specific stalking offenses, one of which made stalking a distinct offense. This law was passed in 2012. PAS continues to collaborate with the police and community professionals to raise awareness about stalking. They provide support to victims and families affected by stalking, and in 2020, over 550 stalking victims received direct support through this charity. And in 2021, Claire's mother was honored as a member of the British Empire in Queen Elizabeth II's birthday honors list. This prestigious title bestowed upon her the prefix Dame before her name. Such an honor is granted to individuals who make significant contributions in various fields, typically at a national level. Patricia has transformed something so tragic into something powerful and is proud to assist others facing similar situations to her daughter.
I mean, obviously we want no one to die,
Yeah, of course.
But at least her mom was able to turn it into something, like you said, powerful that could help so many other people who are going to, it's inevitable, people are going to be stalked, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So the fact that she gets to help all those people.
Incredible. Like her daughter's death
great.
wasn't in vain because she made it so.
Exactly.
I love that.
Oh my God.
So I just wanted to finish by pulling out some stats about stalking because, of course, stalking is a serious problem that impacts a staggering number of people every year. So according to stalkingawareness.org, around 13.5 million individuals find themselves stalked annually. And
that is so many.
So many. It's alarming to know that like 1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men will experience stalking at some point in their lives, Becky.
That is so much higher than I ever would have expected.
Right? And what's even more concerning is that over half of the stalking victims are under 25 years old, showing how young people are particularly vulnerable to stalking. Mm-hmm. And of course, they're, like you said, they're young. We deal with those types of things way differently. You don't have as much information about it. I mean, mentally, your brain's not fully developed. When you're young, I would say you assess risks so differently. So I think you are particularly vulnerable. And so that's really unfortunate.
It really is.
And another shocking stat is 3 out of 4 victims actually know their stalker, which adds an extra layer of unease and complexity, right? And here's the kicker. 60% of women and 44% of men who are stalked have to deal with it from their current or ex-partners. While all places have anti-stalking laws, they're not all the same. Mm-hmm. And of course, it makes dealing with stalking just more difficult in general.
A lot of places often don't recognize just someone being stalked as a crime until something more dangerous happens.
Yeah.
Or something really threatening.
Like, them being killed. I've heard a lot of cases.
Yeah, where it's like, well, they didn't do anything to you. They're just there.
Stalking you. And then, whoop.
Yeah.
You died.
Yeah, like Claire's mom, got it changed to be like, that's the actual crime. A lot of places don't have that still. Mm-hmm. And so it's hard to combat that, but it is really serious.
Yeah, I think that's why it's just so important to spread awareness, provide support, and push for stronger measures to address stalking and protect everyone who is affected by it.
100%. Do you know I was stalked before?
No. Was this at the gym?
Yes. One morning, go get a coffee. I'm standing waiting for it. This man, I honestly don't remember if he was getting a coffee or if he just walked up to me. Anyways, he said, "I like your shape." And that's what he said to me. And me and the other girl were just kind of laughing about it, walked back to the gym. He followed me all the way back to the gym. I'm just thinking he's a little like, okay, that's a little creepy, but I'll never see this guy ever again. We go down. The girl's telling, this guy was so brazen, just walking up, be like, "Oh, I like your shape." And it was a running joke for a little while until 2 days later, saw him again. Followed me down the mall. Saw him again. I kept seeing him over and over and over again. And he just kept getting closer to me and would follow at a closer distance as time went on. Eventually it got to the point, not that he tried to say anything to me, but eventually my manager, they wouldn't let me walk to my car alone. They wouldn't let me get coffee by myself just because they had to do what they was in good, they had to do what was right.
Right. Just as Harvey Nichols did as well.
Yeah, they were so great. And then at one point, one of my managers came downstairs and said, "Hey, Becky, I think that guy who's been following you is waiting for you." And he basically told him to FO, in the nicest way, most professional way possible.
Right.
And he literally said, "You're scaring our employees. You need to leave."
And he left?
He did leave. And I think that strong male intervention helped me.
Right.
But I was still scared to
leave. Leave by yourself.
Exactly. So if I show up for work or if no one was available to walk me to my car, I was then scared. And that's not fair when I'm just doing my job, just paying my way through life.
Yeah. If you don't know someone, don't stalk them. If you want to ask them out, directly go up to them and say, hey, see if they're interested. Don't linger.
Mm-hmm.
If that is, of course, all your intentions are, but it is scary to be stalked.
You just don't know what people are going to do. So,
yes.
anyways, Bev, thanks for sharing.
Thanks for listening.